President Joe Biden issuing a full and unconditional pardon of his son, Hunter, epitomizing what is wrong with Washington. Welcome to the No Spin Zone. Graph's Grievances starts right now. With just 50 days left in his presidency, Joe Biden concluding the Thanksgiving Day holiday by going back on his word and issuing a pardon of his sole surviving son, Hunter. The president granting his 54-year-old son clemency for any offenses against the United States he committed or took part in during an almost 11-year period ending December 1 of 2024. Hunter was set to appear for sentencing later this month in Delaware and California, where he faced the potential of lengthy prison terms for his conviction on federal gun charges and federal tax evasion. President Biden saying in a statement he was motivated to pardon Hunter because the charges against him were politically motivated. Writing, quote, "The charges in Hunter's cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress investigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong." And while many legal experts, including Eric Holder, who served as Attorney General under former President Barack Obama, agree with President Biden that Hunter was selectively targeted for prosecution, that fails to explain the whole story. Remember, there are two separate cases here. In the first, in Delaware, where Hunter was found guilty earlier this year on charges he lied about his drug use on a federal form he completed as part of a 2018 gun purchase. By all accounts, these types of charges are rarely, if ever, brought, especially if the gun in question was never used to commit a crime. There is no evidence Hunter used the gun he illegally bought to commit a crime. However, in the second case Hunter faced in California, charges are routinely brought against wealthy people who do not pay their taxes, which is probably why Hunter pleaded guilty in September to the federal tax charges he faced. Prosecutors saying Hunter evaded taxes by claiming hundreds of thousands of dollars in false deductions, including writing off payments for escorts, dancers, and a sex club membership as business expenses. Why in the world is Hunter being pardoned for that criminality, which he also admits to doing? President Biden's decision to absolve Hunter, a Yale Law School graduate, of failing to pay over $1 million in taxes cuts against everything President Biden has stood for his entire life, and the reason behind his presidency in the first place. President Biden became president because he promised to restore integrity to our institutions, respect the rule of law, and follow the Constitution, after Donald Trump intentionally laid siege to all of those things that make our country strong. Which explains why, until this point, President Biden repeatedly pledged not to pardon his son.
Your son Hunter is on trial, and I know that you cannot speak about an ongoing federal prosecution. But let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know, and I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Your husband, the president, has said he wouldn't pardon your son. He wouldn't commute his sentence.
That's correct.
As a mother, though, you must want to see this burden lifted off your son. Do you wish you could do that?
Well, Joe and I both respect the judicial system, and that's the bottom line.
From a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No. Will he pardon his son? No.
that no doubt difficult posture was beyond admirable and consistent with what the American people have come to expect from President Biden's over 50 years of public service. And it is deeply upsetting that President Biden has now chosen to go back on his word and damage his legacy of always putting the Constitution and the rule of law first. As Jonathan Chait in The Atlantic so eloquently explains, President Biden's complaint about the higher standards applying to his son reflects the perspective of myopic privilege. For his entire life, Hunter has benefited from having the last name Biden. He made millions of dollars running a business based on selling the illusion of access to his father, first as a senator, then as a vice president, and finally as president. That is the only reason oligarchs in Ukraine, China, and elsewhere were willing to pay hand over fist to employ Hunter, a sadly long-suffering drug addict. And while all of this was apparently legal, despite House Republicans trying their darndest to prove otherwise, Hunter's professional business was widely inappropriate and totally contrary to everything his father stood for. There is no evidence Joe Biden ever did anything for any of Hunter's clients or profited from Hunter's access peddling in any way. So for President Biden to now tarnish his legacy by stressing the targeted nature of Hunter's prosecution seems particularly hypocritical and wrong. That being said, maybe we shouldn't be surprised. After all, this comes as 34-time convicted criminal Donald Trump prepares to return to the White House after years of arguing that the Justice Department and the FBI are rigged against him. Moments after Biden's pardon announcement, Trump writing on social media, quote, "Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J6 hostages who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice." Trump slamming Biden's decision to give his son a sweetheart deal, previewing his plan to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th in support of him. Once again, Democrats look like the party of elites and insiders, while Trump looks like a man of the people. Trump, of course, pardoned several people close to him during his last administration, including his daughter's father-in-law, Charles Kushner, who Trump just named as ambassador to France. Trump also pardoning the likes of Steve Bannon, Roger Stone, and many other lowlifes who scammed the American people. But make no mistake, Biden's decision to pardon Hunter will make it much harder for Democrats to defend the integrity of the Justice Department and credibly criticize Trump when he inevitably pardons more friends and allies responsible for conducting his dirty work over the course of the next 4 years. As Democrats seek their way out of the wilderness, I hope they recommit themselves to President Biden's original promise of equal justice under the law and restoring our judicial system to its apolitical ideals. Thank you for watching Graph's Grievances. Let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, share, and join me tomorrow for more.